obviously when you're buying a house, you're trying to find ways to save money
Yeah.
as much as possible. And then the last thing you want to do is hear from your realtor to find a home inspection. And in the process of buying a $300,000 house,
Did you say $400,000 to $300,000
that's in the
house?
low end. I'm thinking of the people that are
You're in Iowa, bro. California. We're talking
North Highlands.
Yeah, maybe. There's not a lot of those available.
Not a lot. You're right.
So it's a big investment.
$500,000+ investment,
Yes.
and real agent tells you to go find a home inspection.
Yes.
Or a good home inspector, and then so the first thing that you want to do, this is what I did,
Yeah.
and I went out and I looked for the cheapest home inspection that I can find because I was just trying to solve that instant need.
On a budget.
And the real estate, at least my agent, failed to tell me what the importance was. Like, he just told me, hey, you need a home inspection to get through the next steps so that you can get your keys. And I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
Home inspection, I don't know why, I don't know what. All I know is $400 on top of my then investment of my only $30,000 that I had for the down payment.
Yeah.
And then, so I was like, all right, I'll just find the cheapest one. I'll get it done. We'll get it taken care of. And so and then once I grew into this industry and I learned a lot from you guys, the thing was I actually learned like home inspection is a really big part of the deal.
Yes.
And I also hear on the back end a lot of things that there's like home inspections that ruin deals. And so like realistically, okay, what's the value of the home inspection?
Sure.
Does it actually ruin deals, or can you have a good home inspector that could help a bad situation turn into a really good deal?
Absolutely.
So that's what the idea here is. I kind of want to pick your brain and go from there and see your years of experience. Tell us and give us the knowledge that we need to effectively buy our first house, or if I'm a real estate agent, to effectively turn you into my best business partner.
Sure.
And I'll let you take it from there.
Well, even like I'd like to back it up for something that you, when you were laying the groundwork, you were talking about the real estate agent. Reduce price anything, and I just got out of a business meeting this morning. There's a few things that don't go together in business, and I don't care what business you're in. 3 things. So people want something done fast. And again, you could tie this into software engineering. You could tie it in anything. They want it done fast. They want quality, and they want cheap.
Right.
Fast, quality, cheap. You could have 2 of those things, and you could pick sometimes which 2 you're going to get, but you're not going to get 3 at a reduced rate. It's not possible. It's not going to happen. Real estate services, as a realtor in California, is incredibly important. Grinding agents down to take points off of their commission. They work very hard for their commissions. There's massive value associated with what they do. This is typically the largest investment of anyone's life. So how long did it take to get that $30,000 to put down on that house? Probably a while.
A number of years.
Sacrificing dinners and washing cars and vacations and family trips and all that stuff, right?
Right.
So why would anyone want to sacrifice over a couple $100 potentially to get a cheaper home inspection? But you don't realize it because you're saving money when you're in the moment.
Exactly, and that's the point. Like, after I had bought the house, after work, because I bought the house, then I started working with you guys about a year later.
Yeah.
And I started to kind of learn things, and I'm like, oh, I could have used the knowledge that the home inspection gave me about my old roof or my...
To negotiate credits on the deal, the home inspection is invaluable. And I'm more of a WDO termite inspector guy. If I had one choice of what to do on a house, and I'm sorry to the termite inspectors out there in the world, I would do a home inspection before the termite inspection.
And so that's what leads me into the first segment here, and I want to ask you to teach our audience why home inspections are so important. How do they protect people and not just the properties? What are like the financial risks and emotional decisions that we could help them make during the process?
Sure.
And then what kind of factors or what kind of specific things pertain to home inspections in California as opposed to other states? Maybe somebody's moving from a different state into California and they're booking a home inspection. What kind of California specific items on the home inspection are we looking for there? And then what I want to hear from you is, okay, you're 20 years of experience. What are real world examples?
Did you say 20 years of experience?
20 plus years of experience.
30 years of
30
experience.
years. I apologize.
Thank you. Yes.
I'm trying to make him feel younger.
Yes.
And give us a real world example of how we helped or how you helped potentially save a deal or a family from buying a really bad property.
Yes.
And so let's hear it from you.
I don't know if there are any bad properties. The idea of doing any inspection, home inspection, roof inspection, termite inspection, but for this conversation, home inspection, eyes wide open. Disclose, discover, right? I believe the home inspection ferrets out or enables us to discover deficiencies at the property. Excuse me. The other thing that's kind of cool about a home inspection, and the president of our company, Dimitri, talks about this fairly often, it actually can act as a user's manual for a home. So unless you're the original owner of a home, which a lot of people aren't, so you move into a home and you don't necessarily know where the things are. You don't know where the water main shutoff is to the house. You don't know where the electrical panel is. You don't know where the gas shutoff is. There may be a tripping hazard in the garage where they poured slab for the immediate garage cars, and then a slab for the house steps up 2 inches. And that goes on a home inspection report. And sometimes the seller will be frustrated. They're like, that thing was built there. That step was built there. Like, we know it's there. And I'm like, I understand. You know it's there. But the customer, my customer in this case, the buyer doesn't know it's there. We just want to let them know it's there, right? You have to trip on that thing a couple times until you realize that, oh, I should turn the lights on in the garage when I go out there because there's a tripping hazard. So the home inspection provides value. They are generalists. We are generalists in assessing the overall building, right? Termite inspectors look at structural nomenclature. Home inspectors look at structural nomenclature as well as the mechanical services in a building.
So I know that we're using terms that are relative to real estate agents, but let's use some vocabulary that potentially is going to be for like a new home buyer that doesn't really understand the structure and foundation of a home.
Yes.
So let's keep it PG.
I will. I'm getting a little naughty. The home inspector will look at the envelope of a building. Envelope, again, I have all these vernaculars. The siding.
Exterior.
At the exterior of a building. It'll have stucco on the outside. It'll have wood siding. It could have vinyl siding. Is the siding holding up? Is the building leaking or not? Is the building efficient or not? The big 4 things that a home inspector will look at, they'll look at the roofing, the electrical system, the HVAC, and the plumbing, right? Mm-hmm. And these are things, if you have an HVAC system that goes out, your average HVAC replacement now is $15,000. If you have a roofing issue and you need a new roof, that's $22,000 to $32,000. If you have an electrical issue can run anywhere from $4,500 to $7,500. So these are big ticket items. We check to make sure that they're working. If there is an issue there, the home inspector doesn't necessarily have the diagnostics experience or tools to tell you exactly what's wrong there. But the idea of the home inspection report is to say, hey, the HVAC does not appear to be working optimally. You need to contact a specialist or a licensed trade person, and they could have the equipment to go out there and troubleshoot it. And from that troubleshooting, you realize, hey, this is an issue that could be addressed for $500. And you say, okay, $500, I could withstand that. Can they give us a credit for $500 to fix it? Or your HVAC system's at the end of its life, and it will be $18,000 to replace. It gives you that opportunity in the transaction during the discovery portion of this to say, hey, I really like the house, and even with the failing HVAC, I like the neighborhood, I like the schools, I like the streets, I like everything about this. I do not like the failing HVAC. Would you be willing to give us a credit for $18,000 for the HVAC? And the people may or may not say yes or no. And then that is the agent's job, which makes the agents incredibly valuable. Well, if you don't give us credit for the whole thing, can you give us a partial credit? Can we meet in the middle? So home inspectors will go out. They'll do an analysis of the exterior of the property. They'll check the windows. They check like 1,100 items on the building. Of those 1,100, I told you 4 of them are typically big ticket items, the 4 that I listed before. The other 1,000 of them, it's good to have that information to develop kind of a service plan or a maintenance plan of what is up to date, what needs to be up to date. If there's any safety issues going on at the property, you want to keep your family safe at the end of the day. And it literally blows my mind where someone will be charging $550 for a home inspection, and someone will choose to work with another entity and because they're charging $400 for the home inspection. Is it really $150 cheaper? Are you getting the same value apple for apple? Not all home inspectors are the same. Right. One thing that I realized, I assumed that everyone did home inspections the way we did them. I know better. Like, we check all the receptacles at a house. So someone moves in and they buy a house per the inspection standards that the association stepped forward, you're supposed to look at a representative sample.
Yeah, and I understood that, like, man, if I'm paying, at the time, $400, which was a lot of money for me, paying $400 for a home inspection, I expect them to check all my windows, to check all my outlets,
every
check all
window,
my light
every
switches.
outlet, every HVAC register. You want them to check all of it.
And so how frustrated do we often see customers when we come as a competitive inspection because there's 2 sides. There's a pre-sale inspection or a buyer inspection.
Yes.
Which I would like actually for you to tell us about that a little bit too. But so if the buyer has an inspector and the seller has an inspector, how often do those inspections conflict?
And we're talking specifically about home inspections right now. Yes. So there should not be a lot of conflict, meaning the findings should be very similar. Home inspectors typically don't make specific recommendations. So termite inspectors, WDO inspectors will have findings, and the recommendations can vary from company to company. Oftentimes, it's the home inspector's job to find what is not operating correctly and then to refer you to the appropriate tradesperson who specializes and has a license in electrical, in plumbing. Again, the home inspectors are generalists. We are licensed contractors at Good Life, but there are designations, specific licenses that are specific to things like plumbing and the electrical and roofing and all the other trades that are out there. I'm not completely answering your question. What was the second part of your question?
I think you did get it. I generally just asked how often do we see home inspections conflict each other on a property by opposing teams because there's a buyer and there's a seller?
That's interesting. I got to jump on this real quickly. This is awesome. There's no standard, really. So the home inspections are not regulated by the state of California. There is no state license. This is absolutely crazy. I've been petitioning the state over this for 20 years and will continue petitioning. In the termite inspector world, there is a test you have to pass. Mm-hmm. And then you have to do continuing education every 3 years to maintain this license, what's called the WDO license. So there is no format. So a home inspector literally could take an online class off of YouTube for 8 hours and get a home inspection certificate, not ever have had any experience out in the field. And that's pretty crazy. So the information can conflict fairly often because our home inspectors will go out and they'll check 50 receptacles and find 3 of them not working. Company B could go out there and they do a representative sample. So they're only testing 25% of the receptacles. That is absolutely insane. So they're missing receptacles that aren't working. There are some standards in the different associations, but you could belong to one of multiple associations. So how the home inspection is documented, the reporting format, the pictures, the language, you get a 60-page home inspection report, and oftentimes 53 of the pages are CYA boilerplate stuff because we're in California. And the real information's on 2 or 3 pages at the end of the day. So they conflict fairly often. That's a problem.
Okay, I understand. That actually brings me into the next topic that we wanted to talk about. But to sum up that, I think if we had to put it into one sentence, why is a home inspection so important? Is it fair to say home inspections give you clarity before you make such a big investment and commitment to a home?
Yes, and that's so important. Great lead in for me. You teed that up. Clarity. The home inspection, I mean, the conversation about home inspections killing deals, the home inspector should not be offering his opinions on things that are not relevant to the actual house. They don't know what's in the customer's head. Dialogue is important. Understanding, hey, is this a first-time buyer? Our home inspection for a first-time buyer may approach things differently than a home inspection for an investor, may approach things differently than a home inspector for someone that's on their fifth home. So again, how we construct that conversation and how we go through it, we communicate with the consumer and the agent, and we ask them how they want us to present the information, and a good home inspector will present it in a way that's consumable. Because otherwise, you could come in there with all types of opinions about the kitchen and the color of the vanities, and I am not a big fan of oak cabinets. Well, maybe the customer's wife is a mess. They're buying the house because of the oak cabinets. Do the oak cabinets work? Do the doors open and close? That's my job. I don't need to be rendering opinions about the color of the carpeting and the wallpaper and all the other things, if that makes sense.
It does.
Excuse me.
And it's basically what you're saying is a good home inspector needs to learn how to read the room so that he can present the right information.
Yes.
And so that brings me to the next topic, because pretty much covered everything I wanted to ask about what makes a good home inspection. But realistically, since we're on the agent side of it, how does a good home inspector protect an agent's reputation and help them promote their business?
I just hung up the phone with a broker 45 minutes ago. Good Life Inspection Company. Call Good Life Inspection as soon as possible if you need inspections. Sorry, unshameless plug. We had a challenge on the property. The agents recommended us to do a preemptive inspection, proactive, preemptive, pre-list. It's gotten the title's gotten popular in the Sacramento region last 5-10 years. There's no such thing as like an actual pre-list inspection. It's just getting the inspection ready. The idea there is for the consumer and the agent to be in control of the information. A great real estate agent will want to be in control of this situation. So our amazing partners that we do business with do pre-list inspections. They do the repairs. They address most of the issues on the termite report and home inspection report. So when they get ready to go on market, they want to ask top dollar, and they don't want to be negotiated down. They want to have everything prepared with a bow on it. And if something comes up, because the buyer may, and I actually recommend oftentimes that they get their own inspection report done unless it's done by Good Life Inspections. There may be a difference of opinion or a difference in a finding there. And it is the inspector's position, it is the inspector's job to proactively manage the information, the dialogue, any exposure, any liability, meaning real estate agents should be using their vendors and partners to transfer liability. That is from a guy that's been in business for 30 years. So when you get a roof inspection, you want to transfer. If that roof leaks, because the first call when there's an issue is to the agent. Everyone calls the agent. This is your responsibility. This is your job. The agent should be redirecting that conversation. Roof leak, let's talk to the roofing guy. Not it's your job to call the roofer, but the agent would be like, hey, I had you guys do a roof inspection. It's leaking. If they're calling Good Life, hey, we're out there and we're dealing with it. If there's a dry rot issue, if there's an insect issue, if there's a fuse box that's not working correctly, again, should be redirecting exposure and liability, especially in the state of California, to the licensed professional who is responsible for that trade. So again, how we are important to the agents and our realtors is we should be deflecting. We should be acting as a bulletproof vest in business, not just with exposure and liability, but with customer care and trust. The agent, the broker I hung up with 45 minutes ago, we handled everything. But apparently we had missed $4,000 in dry rot. It was questionable on if the entity coming in was being extra aggressive for the buyer so they could negotiate a credit potentially. A month and a half went by and the agent dealt with it and credits were given. I was not happy with that scenario. They were used to doing business with me, and how I do business is how we do business, and that is us proactively getting out to the property same day, next day, putting our eyes on it, and making sure that we satisfy and make everyone comfortable. Because at the end of the day, the agents that partner with us, the agents that work with us, there's trust there. And the consumer needs to feel comfortable through the process, like family.
It's like trust and a knowledge base. If the realtor uses their vendors properly and correctly, and at the right time, of course, then they have a effective tool set to promote their business and help their sale.
Yes.
And so that's what we kind of want to show them. And so I think is it fair to expect from a good home inspector? A good home inspector doesn't just find problems, but he explains them.
Yes.
And he explains them at the knowledge level for the real estate agent to be able to refer that knowledge to the homeowner so that they can make their decision effectively.
Yes.
Rather than just guessing on that. And so that brings me into what's kind of most important and what everybody should know, but not most don't know. I wanted to ask for clarity, what's everything that's included in a home inspection, and what's not included? Like what other things maybe people assume is included in it, like a roof or a sewer inspection. What are those things that are add-ons that they could buy and order? Should they buy them? Should they not?
Sure.
What to expect realistically? So just kind of tell us a little bit about what's included in a home inspection, and then and then we'll go from there.
There are some assumptions that people make when a home inspection is being done, and the roofing. The home inspector actually does look at the roof. So we also
to what extent?
Yeah, they actually look at the flashings, they look at the roof coverings, they look at the age, they look at the granules. Like they do a pretty good job of getting up on the roof. And I could actually position to say in some cases that a home inspector may do a better roof inspection than a roof inspector.
So why would I need a roof inspection then?
For a certification, you want a warranty on the roof. That's oftentimes what the angle is. Roofing companies will go out, and it still shocks me, and we're a company that offers roof inspections, right? We partner with someone. They go out, they walk on the roof, they check the roof out, they never step foot inside the house. And I'm like, how can you offer a full opinion on the roof without getting inside the house? You would think that you would have to look at the sheetrock and get up into the attic to see if there's any water stains or leaks. The home inspector goes on the roof if accessible. The home inspector goes in the attic. The home inspector goes inside the house. If a home inspector sees a leak in a second-story sheetrock, he's going to pay extra attention in the attic, and he may get back up on the roof again to quadruple check. So the roofer comes out there and says, hey, the roof appears to be this old. The roof appears to be, so he's measuring exposure and liability. So the roofer will go out there and say the roof is X amount of years old, you have this much life left, and if you would like a 2-year certification, we'll offer you a warranty or insurance for $250, and if you want a 3-year certification, we'll offer you an insurance policy, if you will, for $350. This is after you address any of the items that we have as needing repairs out here. They will not offer that certification unless you address any items that need to be addressed now, if that makes sense. So roofing, sewers. We look at the plumbing. Home inspectors look at the plumbing. They look at the rough plumbing. They run the plumbing to see if there's any plumbing leaks. One thing that could get very, very, very tricky, and this is kind of a look behind the curtain at the sausage factory. Even when we do a sewer inspection, which is a separate inspection, it's a sewer line inspection, and the reason why you want to do those cambered inspections is that could be a high-ticket item, like a roof failing, high-ticket item. HVAC failing, high-ticket item. Sewer line, if the sewer line goes underneath concrete, underneath a patio, underneath a driveway, there's a chance that you're going to have to do the flat work and demolition to break concrete out to get to the sewer line to replace it. Oftentimes, $6,000 to $9,000 to do this work. So even with that sewer inspection, that does not necessarily mean that there cannot be a breach or a problem underneath the house. Meaning, if it's a slab constructed home, there's a sewer system that runs under the slab in the house. There's an assumption that in doing a sewer inspection, that's checking all of the plumbing under the house. It is not checking all the plumbing under the house. So there could be a block up under the house that is not being caught in that sewer lateral inspection.
Gotcha. So what else? Finished a little too early, so I wasn't ready for the follow-up. We covered...
There's pool inspections. Again, we do pool inspections. I've owned a number of pools. I've had big pools. I've had little pools. I have no pool now because I don't want to take care of it. And I always had a perception that, hey, they're checking to see if the pool's leaking. And because that's like a big ticket thing. That's a big deal. The home inspectors are turning the pool equipment on, seeing if the equipment is operating, to see if there's any leakage going on. But at the end of the day, when it comes to the pool service, they could have an opinion about the tiles and the pebble tech, but they will not necessarily know how efficiently the pool is operating and if there's leaks there or not. Again, this should be disclosed, but those are highly specialized trades. So I think the idea is to see if it looks, from an observation, if it looks like the pool has issues, to make further recommendations to have a specialist look at it. So the sewer line under the house, the pool inspection, I think that's pretty much about it.
So generally, a home inspection covers structure, most of the structure, foundation issues.
Yes. Mechanical issues.
Mechanical issues like plumbing, electrical, HVAC.
Safety.
Safety issues.
Safety's a big one.
Drainage and grading.
Yes.
Roof and attic as well.
Yes.
And then here's a fun one that maybe some people don't know. What about mold?
Mold, that's interesting. We wouldn't be alive without mold. So mold is not always a bad thing. You don't necessarily want it inside your house. So home inspectors are not doing mold inspections, but they will be. You need excessive moisture and you need leakage to actually have mold be present. So the home inspector is checking very carefully around the house. We use thermal cameras. We use moisture meters. There's a lot of tools in our toolboxes that we use to check for excessive moisture, because if you have excessive moisture, you can have growth. And there can be mold growth, and not all mold is toxic mold. There are different types of molds, and how they tell if it's toxic or not is they'll do mold testing and see what the levels are of the mold, the spore counts, and they'll measure. And if they measure the inside of the house and the outside, and if the one level is excessively high inside the house, then it's considered toxic or has some toxicity.
Who's doing these mold inspections? Is it home
and
inspectors?
There are some home inspection organizations that can test it. It is something that we're actually adding to our breadth of service. But at the end of the day, you are testing it. You're sending it into a lab. An industrial hygienist looks at it. The lab does a study on it, and then they let you know if it's toxic or not. And then they will issue a scope of work to do mold remediation.
Got it. So basically, knowing the scope of the inspection prevents unrealistic expectations from both my agent and my homeowner.
Yes. Yes.
Or buyer, seller, whichever piece you're part of.
Correct.
And so that brings me into the actual physical inspection itself. Just to equip buyers, sellers, and agents, can you give us some really good questions that one of the three parties should be asking their home inspector. For one, should I, as a buyer or a seller, be at the inspection with the home inspector?
Yes.
Or should it be the realtor? Should it be both?
Let me start there. Our relationships, my relationships with agents that date back more than 25 years, the agent being on site, there is so much trust, again, being put into the relationship with the real estate agent. So our great agents, the one that I've seen be successful, are always on site during these inspections. I love having the consumer on site. When you're the inspection company, you have a couple of different customers. You have the buyer, seller, and you have the agents as well. And quite frankly, if there are other inspection companies out there that the agent has relationships with, those are our customers also. If I'm a home inspector and there's a different roof inspection company, a termite inspection company, it is my job as a home inspector to build a relationship, and in some cases a friendship, with the other inspectors out there, because we all have the same job. We want to have a seamless report to share the information with the consumer to protect the consumer at the end of the day. So having that dialogue, what can be covered in a home inspection report in 2 or 3 pages can be captured on a walkthrough at the property. So the customer does not necessarily have to be there at the beginning of the inspection. I would have them show up an hour or so into the inspection, let the inspectors finish their thing, and then go through and do that job walk. And a good home inspector will feel the customer out and see how interested they are to do a walkthrough on this. One picture's worth 1,000 words. So I could tell you that there is a defect at the diverter flashing, and I could show it to you on the home inspection report, and it won't be telling you a lot. I could point to a spot on the side of the building that actually has a bent piece of metal and say that's defective diverter flashing, the water's not getting in the gutter, and you'll say, oh, that's what that means. Trying to interpret that for a home inspection report, almost impossible. So invaluable having the agent there, having the customer there, working with a home inspector that is clean cut, articulate, efficient, can read the room, and be willing to spend time. And we will spend as much time as the customer needs to be comfortable with the results of the inspection.
That's awesome. What? I'm losing my track of thought a little bit here, just because I'm having some camera issues, but that's okay.
I don't want you to edit anything. I want all the camera issues going up there. I want all of it
That
going.
camera died, by the way.
Oh, no.
So we're going wide angle now.
Oh, no, okay.
So our job as the inspectors to educate the homeowners and the realtors so that they're well equipped.
To make their decision. It's not our decision, it's their decision, yes.
Right. The better that we are at educating them, then the
100%.
easier it is for them to make those decisions.
Yes.
And so ultimately, what does that mean for the realtor? Good questions lead to smoother escrows.
Yes.
And so I think that leaves us with another point, and maybe this happens more often than I know. It didn't happen in my personal experience, but I hear this a lot in the office when we're solving a lot of problems.
Mm-hmm.
Majority of the time, we find the problems before it becomes a big problem.
Yes.
But sometimes we're on the back end where the homeowner's already moved in there, and we may have missed the problem.
Sure. We're human.
Anyways, in both kind of scenarios, I'm the homeowner, and I ask my realtor, hey, my home inspectors found a lot of problems. Like, what should I do? What type of problems do we find that tend to deflect or kind of halt the deal? And which one of those are just mere fear that could be really easily resolved?
Yeah, one I could refer to, cracks at a foundation, deal killer. There are neighborhoods around Sacramento region that if you've been doing business here long enough, you know where the neighborhoods are, where there are some compaction issues where the soil is liquefying and they didn't develop the land correctly when they were developing the land. You know, in some cases, 40 years ago, 35 years ago, there's infrastructure that has to go in so the land can breathe, so the land can drain efficiently. And they didn't do that efficiently, and they plopped 5,000 houses on this land, and we know where those neighborhoods are. And basically the soil underneath that slab, underneath the floating slab, is shrinking and sinking. So when there's cracks in the foundation on those properties, that could be a considerable finding. And to try to repair or address that could be significant. Then there's other neighborhoods where there's cracks, stucco cracks, foundations crack, things crack, wood members bow. You maintain them, you caulk them, you seal them, but they're not necessarily deal killers. Inexperienced home inspectors will say, oh, there's cracks at the foundation, you need an engineer. And all of a sudden, you're talking, do you need a structural engineer? Do you need a civil engineer? Do you need a professional engineer? Do you need a geological engineer? And 9 times out of 10, I talk to my geological engineer and get a letter of observation, and they're like, dude, this is no big deal. There's a little hairline crack there. It's not a big deal.
Do other home inspectors talk to engineers like we do?
We have engineers in-house, too, so it's not fair. It's not fair to compare the other companies. We're so spoiled. So, no, they do not have engineers on staff. We actually have an engineer on staff. So we could go on our company cam app. I could flip a picture over. Or he can meet me out there. I'll buy him lunch and say, what do you think of this? And I get a letter of observation, and it doesn't cost anything. I could render an opinion on that. But the 1 time out of 10 where it could be a big deal and you could need these hydraulic jacks that have to go under the house, and that's $145,000, that could be a big deal. So those are items that can be deal killers. There are neighborhoods that have chronic issues. Some of our bigger, nicer neighborhoods around the region have beautiful homes, and they have chronic issues where the stucco's failing and the windows failing and the decks and balconies are failing, and we know where those are. It doesn't mean that they are failing all the time. We just know where to look. And even when that's happening, it doesn't have to be a deal killer. Someone's going to have to fix the problem. Hopefully, if it's the seller, it gets done on their dime, and then they can just adjust their pricing and maybe charge a couple more bucks to sell it. There is not a problem on any house in California that can't be overcome.
So that's what I was about to ask, too, and I'm glad you just covered it. It's like, okay, well, you just found a bunch of stuff that's wrong with the house. Now I'm scared to move in. It's like, how do we turn that big negative into a positive? Didn't you love this house?
It's all measuring and assessing and eyes wide open, and then it's a business decision, right? Like you're paying X amount of dollars for the house. There is not a problem that can't be fixed. And in my 30 years, I haven't seen all of them, but I've seen a lot of them. And something where we've been at a property that's closing and the seller has already bought another house in Texas, and the buyer's got a moving truck coming in, and there's a $120,000 discovery. They had the inspections done very, very late in the 11th hour, and thank goodness we called a further inspection and said, you have to open the stucco before the property changes hands. That was a conversation that was had with the agent. The agent was a great agent, shared that with the buyer and seller. We opened it. It was discovered. And the deal started to die. And I didn't understand it. Like, it's a lot of money, but why does the people were moving to be next to family on this street in Cameron Park. It's a neighborhood up here in the foothills. Beautiful house, beautiful view. And they said, we don't want to buy this house. We're going to buy another house. I'm like, well, I thought you wanted this exact house because the grandparents live 2 doors away.
Right.
Well, we could buy another house on the street. You don't think that house could have the problem? We're blessed. We found the problem. We're not just simply blessed. We're really good at what we do. We discovered the problem. Had we not discovered that problem, they would have bought that house with a $125,000 issue, and it could have morphed into a $300,000 issue. That's why you get the inspection done. But even finding a big problem like that, if it's captured in time, everything is fixable. We engineered that project. We put new stucco on the house. We reframe the house. We go to Christmas dinner. It's been 4 years now. We go to Christmas dinner, Christmas Eve dinner, myself and Justin, our general manager, every year because we saved the deal and we were there for the birth of their child. 2 weeks out, we worked on a house for 3 months. So we got to become part of the family.
And just to clarify, that situation where we found the problem, we engineered the problem, we repaired the problem, we built that relationship. Just to clarify for the general public, the home inspectors did not have anything to do with those repairs after inspection because home inspectors cannot offer bids on repairs.
Correct.
So walk me through it, or walk us through how that happened. The home inspector come out, find potential reasons for a recommendation for a termite?
The home inspector was not liking how the baseboards look on the main floor of the building. There wasn't any plumbing in the area, and the baseboards were swollen. They were made of this MDF material. It's this cardboardy material that's very popular in California.
Yeah, we all know it.
And it wicks water. So it's pretty, but if it gets exposed to any water at all, it doesn't react well. So they had swollen baseboards, and they were not getting a termite inspection. And the home inspector said, hey, I'm not comfortable with this. We need to see inside that wall. And someone said, oh, it's probably from mopping or cleaning. And I'm like, well, it was a laminate floor. It was an LVL floor. There was newer LVL floor. And it seemed like a lot of water from a mop. And it wasn't like it was a bathroom or a kitchen. It was a living room area. So it just didn't make a lot of sense. So he said, I would be more comfortable. We had a termite inspector show up out there. The termite inspector looked at it. He used a camera, went into the wall. Then he called the reconstruction team out there to take the baseboards off. And we got into the wall, and we found 180 linear feet of structural framing compromised from the house leaking in 4 different places.
That sounds like it's a pretty scary situation to be involved in, especially for the buyer. Were we able to steer them in any direction of repair requests for the seller, credits, or price adjustments? Like what?
They worked it out. The seller, so classy. They had already bought another home in Dallas. The seller was a nurse. Mm-hmm. The husband was a car mechanic for Kia. They already had the U-Haul headed down there, so it was a done deal. And the seller, they were mature people in their mid-50s or something. And they're like, whether we sell this house or not, we have to fix it. So they're going to fix it, and they're going to fix it right anyway. So the people buying the house wanted the house. And the agent and myself, if you guys really want that, we're going to fix it. It's going to look great. We will stand behind the work. It's going to look good. So rather than doing credits or a price reduction, the people wanted credits. Scare me. I'm not a huge fan of credits.
How come?
Oftentimes you don't have full disclosure of everything going on. So someone will say, hey, you have a $4,500 issue at some stucco at the outside of the house, and then the house is selling for $600,000. And they take $4,500 off, and they buy the house for $596,000. And then the people buy the house, and 2 months later, like, hey, we're going to go fix that stucco thing. And they open the stucco up, and they realize that all of the framing is rotted. What was a $4,500 stucco problem is a $60,000 defect problem now.
That makes sense. So credits are limited out.
Credits are limited. Hey, so there are places where credits can work, like, hey, we have to replace the electrical main, and we got a $5,000 credit. It's not going to creep. So it depends on what the credit is for.
Or maybe the roof, because it's just the roof.
Little roof repair.
Very little room for more problems to be discovered.
Yes. The dry rot credits, depending on where the dry rot's on the home, if it's isolated and it's an aesthetic wood member and you replace a piece of fascia, not a big deal. If it's a wood member that's structured and touches a structural part of the home, as soon as you go inside the walls, things get very expensive.
I guess that's why there's more reason to find a good home inspector, to be able to identify the severity of the problem, not to kill the deal, but an effort to actually save the deal.
Yes, that's a great point.
And that goes for both pre-inspection and
Yes.
buyer inspection.
Having the IQ, having the experience of saying, hey, there is some risk and exposure in this scenario, we should lean into this a little bit. That's maybe one time out of 12. The other 7, 8 times out of 12, they're like, hey, this is maintenance thing. You want to keep an eye on it. This is not code red. So, and even if it is code red, keeping it in perspective, understanding, what's going on here, understanding what the dynamic is of the buyer, understanding what the wants are versus the needs. The agents typically drive a lot of that transaction. So having that relationship with the agent who has the relationship with their customer and then balancing the information flow.
So for a realtor best benefit from a good home inspector, what traits should they be looking for, or what requests should they be asking for from their home inspector? What are some main kind of benefits that they get from home inspectors that help them close these deals and help them educate their customers?
I think experience, training, continuing education. The end goal, to net it out, is you want someone to go out and catch problems if there are problems. And it's not just problems. There are times where our home inspectors will go out and there's not too much bad going on with the home, and we actually like to focus on the positive things in a home. We go out and we see properties that have been remodeled. We see ADUs. We see work that's well done, work that's been permitted. And, the design, how the property flows, how does it fit? We actually will take time and go, wow, that was a really cool idea that they did. We know the neighborhoods pretty well, and they make the little working triangles in the kitchen and the spaces. They like to utilize the space well. Mm-hmm. So we like to actually focus on the code upgrades. What upgrades have happened on this property? So it just doesn't have to, yes, you want to capture any exposure and or liability, but there's an opportunity for the home inspector to advocate on behalf of the property. It's very easy to pick on things that you think are wrong. We like to highlight the things that are right about a property.
I think that's everything that we needed to cover for the importance of a home inspection.
Awesome.
Why it's important for realtors to build a foundation of trust with their home inspector, and not only trust, but open conversation.
Yes.
So that they can better be equipped to educate their buyers or sellers, whatever they're working with.
Yes.
Because it's equally important for a home inspection on the seller side, and I don't think we actually really went into detail about that, and I want to give you a quick moment to talk about that.
Okay.
Why is it important for somebody that's wanting to list their house for sale to get a home inspection before they list it, knowing that the buyer is going to get a home inspection anyways? And so why do we promote sellers to
I think it's a strategy. It's a couple different things. I think it's a strategy. It's a sales strategy of being in control, right? Having the information, being transparent. You get a home inspection done and you find that there's 5 or 6 things that are going on with the home. You know where the home stands. You don't necessarily have to fix those 5 or 6 things. Know that there's 5 or 6 things going on with the home that can come up. So it could enable you to highlight the positive things about the home that I talked about in the recent past. It can enable you to say, yes, we do realize that it's not a self-closing garage door. Yes, the man door. Yes, we realize you can't really be short on the safety things because that's a different topic. But the other items that are going on out there, you could say, yes, I realize we have these 5 deficiencies. We've calculated that those 5 deficiencies would roughly be $3,000. We took that into consideration when pricing this house. Please don't ask me for a discount. It puts you in a position to be in control of the information. So when people say, oh, is there anything going on with the house on the disclosures? As a matter of fact, we did a home inspection. Here you have it.
Builds a foundation of trust on the transaction between both parties.
Yes, and it puts the agent and the consumer in control of the deal. Did you know that this is going on? Well, we did. We have it inside the home inspection
Yeah, and
report.
actually, as a matter of fact, we use a home inspection company that told us what the solution would be,
Yes.
and so this is what the price of the solution would be.
Yes.
And on top of that, that's why we priced our house this way.
Yes. Yes.
So this already gets the deal flowing a lot
100%.
quicker and easier.
Yes.
Makes the real estate agent's job a lot easier, I think.
Very smart strategy there. Yes. Because otherwise it could be used as a credit. The information can be used and manipulated as a credit to take numbers off the house. What can be a little frustrating is the credits will be given to drop the numbers. And I'm hoping as the inspector that, man, I really hope they change that hot water heater. We have seen this very quick story, not funny story. I was going to say funny, nothing funny about it at all. We did a home inspection on a house in a neighborhood close to where I lived in Rockland, and the water heater was 23 years old. The life expectancy on these water heaters is 15-ish years. The water heater is 23 years old. There were rust stains, there were signs of leakage, and they got a credit for $4,000 to replace a 50-gallon water heater. We get a call 3 years later. Guess what happened? The water heater, it didn't explode. It broke, and it flooded the house out. And they were frustrated. The people were incredibly frustrated. And they contacted the agent, and they tried to contact the other entity, and they contacted us. And they were pointing blame. And I remember them getting a credit. They never took the money. They did I think they maybe took a trip somewhere, Cabo. They didn't take the $4,000 or the money that was offered to replace the water heater. They gambled on it. So if you are getting credits on the home, weigh it out very carefully. Make sure you apply the money toward actually fixing the home before it becomes a big problem.
Gotcha, because you can definitely, just
You
like
just
an
forget
insurance
about
claim,
it.
you
Yes.
pocket that money and be like, ooh, I made out.
Yes. Yes.
And so what we want to encourage, I want you to think of the most interesting or most exciting home inspection or termite inspection story or most memorable one that you have, and
Yes.
I want you to share that. But before that, I wanted to quickly encourage or reiterate that for our audience, whether you're a real estate agent, whether you're a seller or you're a buyer, ask better questions.
Yes.
Show up to the inspection. That way
Yes.
you can ask these questions in person and get real-time answers, and even see the examples and see the whys and better understand it.
Yes.
Choose your inspector very carefully.
Absolutely.
So vet them, look at the reviews, ask your real estate agent about the reputation, because most likely the real estate agents have been working for 10, 20 years, and so they know most of the inspectors in the area. So ask your agent for the references, and make sure you work with the ones that actually help educate you and that are not just interested in making the money.
Absolutely.
And that will set you up as an agent, as a buyer, or as a seller for a very successful transaction.
100%.
And so with that, I want to hear your most interesting or most memorable home inspection.
Wow. I have so many, and I think they're all interesting, but after doing something for a few decades, I'm from New York City, born and raised in the Bronx, and was ex-military, ended up in California, ended up in this part of California, and have been working with realtors and customers for a very long time. I've been blessed to work in Southern California and Northern California, and inspected Eddie Murphy's house, inspected Steven Spielberg's house, inspected Cher's house,
Is that
Ellen DeGeneres.
Didn't Eddie Murphy? No, one of the Bad Boys guys had a house up here. in
Eddie,
Rockland.
yes, and we did the inspection on the house that was in Los Lagos.
It's like $13 million
Yeah.
house. It was a huge
Yeah.
house. Anyways, keep going.
A lot of basketball players, some professional baseball players, and I met a professional baseball player that played for the Boston Red Sox during a real estate transaction. And the same day that we were doing the inspection on his house, I saw him in the gym at a 24-hour fitness. And I was surprised that he was at 24-hour fitness because I thought he would be at a fancier gym. And built a relationship with that man and ended up going to the World Series that year. The Boston Red Sox won the World Series in 2013, which gave me the opportunity to meet and build somewhat of a relationship with Big Papi, who is David Ortiz, and most of the Boston Red Sox players, except for Dustin Pedroia. He chose not to meet us. So very, very cool. And I still have this relationship all these years later.
And it's because you're a baseball coach and you're
I'm
a big baseball
guy.
fan.
Yes,
That's why that's
yes.
the most memorable
Yes,
one for you. It's a super
yes.
cool story.
Yes.
So
Thank
being a home inspector is not always a boring job. You
No.
get to meet all types of people.
Yes.
Really cool.
I would advocate, I do work with high school youth. I've been coaching youth baseball for 20 years. And my son went to the University of Oregon. And I believe college can be a track. But people don't think about, in school becoming a home inspector or termite inspector. It is a great trade. It's incredibly important. You're not trapped in an office all day. You could do it as your own business or you could do it working with people. I'm a team guy, so I actually like being part of a team. So I enjoy working with other people all day long. And it's so interesting. You have different challenges and different scenarios and different properties every single day. And we get to work with different realtors all the time. So I actually would, I am promoting this guy, gal, over the age of 21 years old because of insurance reasons, to get into a trade, to learn how to become a termite inspector, home inspector, maybe call Good Life and see if we have a program to actually get you trained up. Because what a great career, what a fun career, what a great way to earn a living and become a home inspector or termite inspector.
And just a quick reality check. In the age of AI, the only jobs that are not going to go away are the trade jobs.
You bet your butt, yeah.
AI is not going to be able to inspect
AI
the
is
home.
not going to be able to crawl under a house and get up into the attic. You could use a drone for those roof inspections. Not the same as getting up on the roof.
For sure. Thank you, Stephan.
You got it. Thanks for having me.